times I wanted to ask the second question is because I hear often people who do not go to Mass regularly. Father, the Mass is boring. And these are some of the reasons why. Bad music, the homily is no good, and all those prayers. And also, you do the same thing over and over and over and over again. There's no variety. It's the same thing over and over and over and over again. Do you know what I'm going to go? I'm going to go to Stone Ridge Church. You can bring your coffee in there. You can sing praise and worship. There's a meaningful message. And it's out, and you get to feel good because you leave and you feel good. Those are a lot of reasons why people do not find Mass appealing. And I think if we don't understand the basis behind why we have the Mass, it's never going to be interesting to us. So I think personally that one of the hooks that get us into Mass, the hooks that get us into the devotion to the Mass are good music and good preaching. Good music and good preaching hook people in. But it's not the only reason why we go to Mass. For some, maybe for a period in life, maybe that is what is going to sustain you. Somebody who is preaching well about the Scriptures, there's good music, you feel that connection with God with that. But ultimately, it's to lead you to something else. It's ultimately to lead you to something else, and that is the offering of yourself. So the first thing I want to look at is the page that has a little box there, the dynamics of entertainment and the dynamics of worship. I just want to look at that. Because I think one of the reasons why, especially young people and people my age, maybe 40 and under, have a hard time with the Mass is because of the dynamic of us always being entertained. There are people who do Netflix binges. I was talking to one of my nephews when we were doing the funeral rites for my dad, and he's like, Uncle Bob, when it's time to have a little break, I go on a Netflix binge. Watch a whole season of The Walking Dead or something, and I'm like, God help you, you know? And sometimes they wake up in the middle of the night and the Netflix machine is saying, are you still there? Because the Netflix machine can't believe that you're watching that many things in a row. There's some people that end up doing that. And we come with the different expectations when we come in. If we're always being entertained, think about the commercials we watch, the sports that we watch. All those things are based on the premise that we are going to be entertained. And if we have different dynamics that go on in our worship, and we're normally doing the entertainment routes, it's going to be very different. It's going to be a joggling of the brain. You're going to be wondering, why isn't this entertaining me? Even if you watch regular TV for a while, if you watch the news channels, they try to make it interesting so you keep on watching, don't they? Breaking news, to keep you in it, to keep you hooked to watching it. And I think I thought of some dynamics that happens with entertainment. So if you look at the left box, the dynamics of entertainment. The first is passivity. When you go to watch television, what do? You're usually on a really comfortable chair or a couch or a lazy boy. Your feet are up. You're drinking a Busch Light if you're from Winnebago County. And you're having popcorn, pretzels, and you're watching your favorite show, right? And what if we watch a movie in our homes? We turn on the DVD. What do? We turn off the lights, right? So what's the setting? It's dark and you're in a sitting posture. You just sit there. And it just all keeps on coming to you. Let's watch another show. Do you know what the worst is? It's like the Wii television channel, and they do Law and Order over and over again. I gotta get out of there real quick before the next one starts, because if I hear the thing, dun dun, I'm hooked. You know, the next Law and Order. Do another one. Just do another one. What's the purpose of entertainment? It's to bring enjoyment to the audience. I'm not talking about serious play acting or a serious drama. I'm just thinking of basic entertainment that we watch day in and day out. It's for the enjoyment of the audience. Oh, I got a kick out of that. Oh, wasn't that cute? Or wasn't that a neat story? Oh, I had a belly laugh on that. It's the enjoyment of the audience. right? And then, to keep entertainment interesting, there's always something new. New episode of Law & Order, SVU. The new season of The Walking Dead, tune in. The new NFL season, Vikings versus Packers, September 18th, to get you to watch the next show. Always something new. If it's the same, it's not as good, right? It has to be something new, even though when you look at the themes of entertainment and shows, they're the same themes that have been happening ever since the Greek myths. Do the same themes over and over again because we're human beings. And then lastly, isn't it mostly easy to be entertained? It takes no effort, it takes no thought. The thought is all being done for us, we just enjoy it, right? So that's the dynamics of entertainment. But let's look at the dynamics of worship. Look on the other side. Worship presupposes participation. Not to be passive, not just to be sitting there. It assumes that you are going to be engaged in your mind, in your heart, and with your body. That's why last year when I talked about the dry mass, there's church calisthenics. We're genuflecting, we're bowing, we're crossing, we're beating our breasts, we're singing, the priest has his hands up. This whole activity that we do is to show that there's something else going on inside of us. It's an external reality that makes us more aware of what's going on inside. So it assumes that you are participating. So it makes me so sad when I'm at a church and it's mostly the guys. They're like this. And with your spirit, you know, sometimes that happens. You see that with some people out in the pews. If you look at the setting, it's always light and we're always moving. You notice we as Catholics are always moving when we worship. We're never standing still. We're either sitting, we're kneeling, we're standing, we're crossing. It's to allow us for an internal thing to actually pay attention. That's one thing I do notice. I'll make this comment. When I watch people here at St. Al's at 10 o'clock Mass, during the Eucharistic prayer by the end of it, people are kind of out of it. Because I think they're standing for so long. You know? Maybe it's good that we would have maybe kneelers. Because it keeps your attention when you're doing that. Okay? All right, so what's the purpose then of the dynamics of worship? The worship of God and the sanctification of the Christian people. When you come to Mass each weekend, that's the purpose of why you're coming. To worship God and for the sanctification of the Christian people. That's the purpose of why we have Mass. There's no other reason why we do it. Right? And then, it's never new. The Mass is never new. It's called ritual. And ritual is the sameness because of the beauty and incomprehensibility of God. It is the same because we're coming to a mystery that can never be exhausted. We're coming to a mystery, to a reality, to a goodness, to a beauty that can just not be explained all the way. There's no formula, there's no explanation, there's nothing that could be said to exhaust what happened on the day that Jesus died on the cross and rose and ascended and sent the Holy Spirit to us. And the Eucharist is our connection to that event. There's not a crucifix here. Behind me, there's the crucifix over there above the serving there. How do we access the graces of the crucifix? That happened 2,000 years ago. That happened to a Jewish dude who was a rabbi. That happened way far ago. I live in 2016. I live in Calmer, Iowa. How does that event affect me? Well, we access it in two ways. Living faith and then the sacraments. Living faith and the sacraments. The sacraments are our connection to what happened on the cross. Without the cross, we can't access or take or to receive the fruit of that tree in which Christ bore, in which Christ died, in which Christ suffered for us that we might live. So faith and sacraments. So it's the same, right? Each time we gather, what does the priest say over the bread? For this is my body given up for you. This is my blood poured out for you. Each time we come to Mass, we realize he really did that. He really did that for you and for me and for the entire world. And that's the way that we can connect to it, which is why Holy Communion is really important. It's the connection of us with that great event that happened 2016 years ago. So I think if you look at that, do you see how the dynamics of entertainment and the dynamics of worship are very different things? If we're living in the world, if we're swimming in the world of the dynamics of entertainment, and then we all of a sudden find ourselves showing up to the Sunday Mass, we're kind of thinking, what is going on here? This is a little different than Netflix. I'm used to Netflix. Give me a little more Netflix. Give me the lazy boy with the thing. That's why I think it's very easy to go to a non-denominational church, because they use the dynamics of entertainment to get you in. Whereas the church is always calling you, you're coming to something more than what meets the eye. Okay? Does that make sense, or am I speaking Greek? So that's basically I always think of the culture like an ocean or a pond or a sea. That's what we're swimming in. We're swimming in the dynamics of entertainment, whereas the Lord is calling us when we celebrate Mass to go against the stream of that, to go into another thing. It almost feels like you're out of the sea, you know, like a fish is kind of flopping a little bit. Oh my God, I'm out of the water. But after a while, the fish the fish dies. We're not supposed to die. That's a bad analogy. It's like the baby in the womb. It's used to the womb. Then when it comes out, it starts breathing, and it's kind of a little, I don't know about this outside of this womb thing in the umbilical cord. Well, once they get used to breathing, that's kind of what God is kind of inviting us to, especially for people maybe that have been away. It's going to feel odd when you come back. Okay? All right. Now let's go to the other page. And now what I want to do is now go directly to the Eucharistic prayer number 3. And basically, another thing that I've had in my conversations with people is that they find the hardest part to keep their attention is during the Eucharistic prayer, because it's the longest part of the priest just talking and the rest of the people just being there, as you can see. What is to be your posture or your attitude or